Hello, YouTube. Today I'm doing another live stream because I'm too lazy to get a camera and record videos and upload them like a normal human being. So I just do live streams. Hey, it seems like on every social media site people are live streaming, so why not? So today I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm making a bit of a response video, not really it's a bit of a response video, a bit of a critique of a video that I just got done watching. I've watched it like 3 times already. So it's not like I just watched it and now I'm making this super reactionary response. What made sure I watched it a few times, really let it digest. The video is by a YouTuber by the name of Opinionated European. This is someone on YouTube I've been aware of for a little while, maybe about a year now. And she hasn't always gone by the Opinionated European. I think her YouTube name used to be her actual name. Um, but she put up a video titled, I think something along the lines of "Why I'm Polish and Hate Communism." And I figured, like, okay, that's gonna be interesting. And I was kind of just expecting the worst, just because I haven't watched her videos in a while, and I was actually a little surprised. She started this video talking about her own personal experiences growing up in Poland and how her parents kind of grew up sort of hearing a lot of stories, learning about the not niceness of living in a communist society. She talks about how her mother used to have to wait in lines for hours and hours, like all night, just to get stuff like ham or bread, because in the stores, I guess they never had stuff like that. Um, and she's very bothered by young people today, even though she's a young person herself, uh, advocating for socialism. And this is something that kind of bugs her. Um, and obviously, bugs her because of her own personal experiences, hearing about all these horror stories. No, I think that this kind of brings up an interesting perspective in a lot of ways because you know a lot of people who advocate for socialism or communism, or at least people that I know, are also people who have never grew up in that type of society. All people who've grown up all my friends live in either Canada, America, or Britain. I live in America, by the way. uh, and so it's like the strongest proponents of this ideology, people who really have no direct experience living with it, and I think that's kind of interesting to see that an interesting issue for more modern socialists to have to deal with, and that you can't just ignore people's personal experience. Like, there are a lot of people alive today who have really strong memories of living in the Soviet Union, and I don't think you can really ignore those experiences, those anecdotes. I do think they lend themselves some value in listening to them. Um, I mean, obviously, anecdotal evidence really isn't super strong. There's always the concern that someone's lying, basically. But I don't think the opinionated European is lying. I'm just not going to accuse her of doing that. I don't think she is. This video sort of struck me as being very sincere, very just, I don't know, when people talk about their own personal experiences a little bit, it just kind of just warms my heart. My favorite kind of books to read are always autobiographies. But my problem with her video is I feel like so she goes on and explains that she lives in the UK, goes to university there, and then she very skillfully explains that a lot of kids there, a lot of college kids, they party a good bit. Like they go to parties and clubs like every other day, according to her, of course. Um, and a lot of drinking and partying, and at least according to her, according to her, a lot of people are essentially going to school without any real plan or without any guidance, or they're just kind of going just to go to experiment, to learn themselves or find themselves, that kind of thing. It's kind of a trope, and And then she sort of follows that up by saying, she basically feels like the public shouldn't have to pay for these things essentially. And then she says something that kind of makes me chuckle, as far as like her explanation for why people, at least young generations today, want socialism. And she uses the term Peter Pan generation. And this is something that just made me laugh. I just thought it was kind of funny, and it kind of highlights what the criticism that I'm making, that she's kind of presenting a caricature of people who are, modern advocates of socialism, socialist ideas. Um, and yeah, if you watch her video, I think she does it in kind of an intelligent way. She clearly knows how to make arguments. She first carefully explains her own experiences going to university. Gets the idea in your head, explains that kids are going out partying, drinking, not taking college very seriously, and then follows it up saying, therefore I don't think the public should pay for university and this, that, and the other. Okay, that makes sense. I could see the issue there. Um, and then she follows it up with saying, we got this Peter Pan generation of kids that don't want to grow up. They just want to live in a nanny state and have people take care of them. And this part kind of made me chuckle a little bit. Again, I think this is a bit of a wee bit of a caricature of modern proponents of socialist theories and ideas. And that's kind of my fundamental issue, really. Um, but I think she kind of also presents maybe an interesting problem for modern socialists. Like, how do you deal with people who essentially lived under communist regimes, and it was shit. They didn't like it. It sucked. And you know, what's the response to that? What do you say to that? Now, my my personal ideas and philosophies. I'm not really a communist, so I don't prescribe to any political labeling of the sorts. Um, and I like to think that my ideas are a little more complicated than that. Um, so I don't know. I don't think I'll really go too in detail in my own personal ideas. It's really the point of this video was just a minor critique, just saying like, yeah, hey, like I think you kind of presented a straw man of modern proponents of socialism. I think there's a little more to it. Um, 'Cause I know in the U.S. the idea that that a Peter Pan generation exists, that does not exist in the U.S. at all. Like in the U.S., the only kids who had who would have grown, who would have been raised by nannies, would have been not middle class kids, rich kids. Um, Most kids, I know with my experience, my father was in the Air Force. He was a single dad. Um, who had some roommates living with him, so occasionally they would, just be at the house, kind of looking over me, that sort of thing. Um, but most of the time, I was by myself. I was sort of alone, home alone, a lot of times, and that was kind of my experience, in the U.S. Um, and I think that experiences exist for many kids in the U.S. Is their kid, their parents having to work long hours and figure out how to take care of themselves at home. So the Peter Pan nanny state doesn't that 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 caricature doesn't exist in the U.S. Now, to her credit, I'm a political science major. When I was studying European politics, um, I learned that some fundamental differences between how Europeans perceive government versus how Americans perceive government is, especially in countries like the UK, France, Germany, there is much more of an expectation for the government to take care of the people. In the U.S., there's much more distrust of government, and people want the government to stay out of their lives. Um, they want the government to leave them alone so they can take care of their own business. But in European countries, like UK, Germany, France, there's more of an expectation of the government to basically take care of the people. So, in her defense, but I don't know. So, obviously not a fucking controversial, drama-filled bullshit video. Just a minor critique video. And if I'm gonna tweet this stream out on the twatters, and if I'll tag the opinionated European, and if you opinionated European, uh, I know what your name is. I think I know what your name is, but since you've changed your name, your social media name to the European opinionated European, I'm gonna respect that and not say what I think your name is. So opinionated European, if you found my critique watchable, enjoyable, or whatever, or interesting, I'd be interested in talking to you on a live stream. Why not? You know, I always tell my friends that hey, you should really try not to demonize your ideological opposition. You should try to reach across the aisle and talk to people, this, that, and the other. So, you know, make a little half-ass critique video on my part, and maybe you'll see it. Maybe you'll want to have some live discussion with me. I'd be interested in that. I think that a discussion with you would yield more interesting results than if I was talking to someone who is much more ideologically aligned with my ideas. So yeah, but yeah, this isn't meant to be like a challenge. So if she doesn't want to have any discussion with me, then I'm fine with that. I don't care. So that's it. Bada bing, bada boom.